But yeah, I think this might be the end. This might
Why?
be the end. Cascade failure. And so, the conversations I've had with family is like, I am under no illusions that I have the capability to make this company what it could be. And I hear all these things. No, Tim, you're wrong. Oh, come on. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years.
Yeah.
Clearly, I cannot do it. My feelings are not hurt when I'm like, well, I can't do it. It's like, I think we have like 30 something employees.
Yeah.
And then like 10 contractors, but it's largely for the external projects that we are trying to do. The issue now is we can get rid of the external projects, and that's a lot of people that are part of the crew and everybody loves. And the challenge thing is like when we go through this and we're like, maybe we need to, we want to increase the buffer. We want to increase marketing. How do we sustain this show? How do we build more memberships? Well, the core product is TimCast, the morning show, TimCast IRL, and then the culture where we're trying to make something.
Myself and my good friend Sydney Watson launched a media company back in February 2022, known as the Publica. I failed the Publica by not having enough time and assets to continue to fund it, through to get break even. And to be totally honest, the debt that I carried for that company became immense, and it has nothing to do with the work that the staff did. The team, probably 10 people, and I'm so incredibly proud of literally every single person at that outlet. Almost everybody, on a personal note, who worked for that site did it for almost peanuts.
Tim Pool and the Quartering both admit to having blundered large quantities of money in fruitless efforts to branch out. Tim has an array of side projects, documentaries, podcasts, a comedy show, and even ambitions to make a coffee chain. The Quartering also tried expanding, making a new website called the Publica. Both these YouTubers underestimated costs associated with these side ventures. When you rake in large quantities of super chats and ad revenue, it may be easy to underestimate the difficulty of raking in such large numbers in other places. Also, it can be easy to forget why people are subscribed to you in the first place. Originally, Tim Pool didn't want to do TimCast IRL, at least not the way he does it now.
So here's what happens with TimCast IRL. The goal of the show early on, if you take a look at it, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I forgot. There's a lot of my interpretation of things, of course. The first few things we did were like UFO sightings, Bigfoot, skinwalkers and stuff. And I was like, I want to do something that's very different from what I already do. But what I really love is weird and wild stories. What I really love is talking about paranormal reality or paranormal activity, alternate reality stuff. Alex Jones is so fun to listen to in that regard. And so I was like, we should talk about like cool, creepy stuff, IRL. Like it was originally supposed to be this vlog, but we'll just use the channel, had 70,000 subscribers. And then I'll just start streaming on it and we'll talk about, whatever. So the show started shifting into this realm in a way that I didn't want it to. And I asked Adam, early on, like, what I need you to do is when I'm doing the morning show and researching all this news, try and find stories that fit this vein of things that I'm not talking about. UFOs, for instance, or DMT trials, or, dating scene and culture stuff. And then at 6 p.m., I'd say, you ready for the show? Do you have any stories? And Ed would say, no. And I would say, what do we talk about? And he goes, just talk about whatever you talked about earlier. And I was like, bro, I can't do that. I can't double up my segments and just split my views. I have a mission. I want to make a brand. I want to challenge the Disneys. I want to push back. And I can't do that if I'm sinking myself by launching a product with a pay structure that is siphoning away from what I've already created.
He was hoping it would discuss conspiracies, aliens, and pop culture. This isn't what his audience wanted, though. They wanted politics. And because of his friend and co-host Adam Krigler, the show eventually ended up evolving to what it is now, which wasn't what Tim originally intended. Tim still wanted to branch out, even wanting to create a coffee chain. In 2 years, he couldn't even make one coffee shop. These creators made millions on YouTube, and they thought they could make millions in other ways. Unfortunately, they lacked the skill and knowledge to do so, and had more money and resources than they knew how to manage. In the last episode of TimCast IRL, he deviated from his normal routine of discussing news topics, and instead divulged his ineptitude as a business manager and discussed his financial woes. It seemed to me that the issue here is that Tim wants to create content that he'd like to watch, rather than listening to what his audience desires. The internet has created an abundance of opportunity for average Joes, people who couldn't make it big in any other way. It seems Tim and Jeremy assumed their ability to gain the algorithm and get super chats would translate into success in many other ways. In my opinion, this proves them wrong. Do you agree with my conclusions? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.